2 hours ago, the USS Carney, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, was conducting freedom of navigation operations in the Strait of Hormuz. Then 12 Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps fast attack boats emerged from Qeshm Island at high speed, heading directly toward the American warship. The boats closed to within 400 meters. The Carney issued radio warnings. No response. Visual warnings. Ignored. Warning shots into the water. They kept coming. At 6:47 a.m. local time, with one boat at just 180 meters, the commanding officer made the call. The destroyer's 25mm chain gun opened fire. Direct hit. The Iranian boat exploded. 11 IRGC personnel killed instantly. Within 94 minutes, Iran transformed the Strait of Hormuz into the world's most dangerous choke point. The Iranian response was not a military counterattack. It was strategic economic warfare. Iranian naval forces began deploying sea mines across the strait's narrowest sections. Not randomly. Systematically. Intelligence indicates Iran had pre-positioned over 2,000 naval mines for exactly this scenario. Simultaneously, coastal missile batteries activated. Mobile C-802 and Noor anti-ship cruise missile launchers moved into firing positions overlooking shipping lanes. Shore-based artillery zeroed in on transit corridors. Then came the announcement that paralyzed global energy markets. Iran declared the Strait of Hormuz a military exclusion zone until American aggression ceases. All commercial shipping advised to avoid the area indefinitely. The Strait of Hormuz is 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Roughly 21 million barrels of crude oil pass through it every single day. That represents 21% of global petroleum consumption. There is no alternative route for Gulf oil exports. No pipeline capacity that can compensate. No strategic reserve large enough to replace that volume for more than a few weeks. Within 2 hours of Iran's declaration, Lloyd's of London announced the immediate suspension of war risk insurance coverage for any vessel transients the Strait of Hormuz. Without insurance, no commercial operator will risk a $100 million tanker and $80 million cargo. The shipping lanes did not just become dangerous. They became commercially impossible. Oil futures markets reacted with pure panic. Brent crude spiked from $89 per barrel to $178 within 90 minutes before trading was halted. West Texas Intermediate followed the same trajectory. Asian spot LNG prices tripled. European natural gas futures surged. Every energy market on Earth simultaneously went into crisis mode. But here is what makes this exponentially more dangerous. China immediately announced its navy would provide armed escort for Chinese-flagged tankers. Beijing's statement was direct. Freedom of navigation is a principle China will defend with all necessary means. That means Chinese destroyers entering a waterway where American and Iranian forces are already shooting. 3 nuclear powers confined to a 33-kilometer corridor with overlapping claims and contradictory red lines. The Pentagon now faces a strategic nightmare with no clean solution. The U.S. Navy can clear mines, but the operation would take weeks and require minesweepers operating in waters covered by Iranian coastal missiles. Every minesweeper would be a sitting target. Losses would be catastrophic. The U.S. could strike Iranian coastal missile batteries and naval bases, but Iran has mobile launchers scattered across hundreds of kilometers of coastline. Destroying them all would require a sustained air campaign that looks suspiciously like the opening phase of full-scale war. Or Washington could negotiate, but Iran's demands are clear. Full withdrawal of American naval forces from the Persian Gulf, lifting of all sanctions, and $10 billion in reparations for the dead IRGC personnel. Accepting those terms would represent the most significant American retreat in the Middle East since the fall of Saigon. Meanwhile, the global economic impact is catastrophic. Japan faces potential industrial shutdown within 3 weeks. South Korea's economy is similarly exposed. India's growth projections collapsed. European nations are rationing fuel. American gasoline prices hit $6.50 per gallon within 24 hours, projected to reach $9 within a week. Diesel prices spiked even higher. The Federal Reserve warned sustained energy disruption would trigger immediate recession. Saudi Arabia and UAE attempted rerouting exports through Red Sea pipelines, but capacity is limited to 5 million barrels daily, less than a quarter of Hormuz volume. Kuwait has no alternative route. Its entire economy depends on tankers that can no longer safely transit. The international response reveals a fracturing world order. The EU called for de-escalation but offered no solutions. NATO members are divided, with Turkey questioning whether this falls under Article 5. Russia supports Iran's right to defend territorial waters. China declared forcibly reopening the strait would be aggression against international law. Israel, watching oil prices spike and Iranian confidence surge, reportedly put its air force on highest alert with plans to strike Iranian positions if the blockade extends past 72 hours. That would open a second front. So where does this leave Trump? Every option carries catastrophic risk. Option 1. Military operation to clear the mines and suppress Iranian coastal defenses. That means sustained air and naval combat in confined waters where Iran holds geographic advantage. American casualties would be significant. Iranian retaliation could expand beyond Hormuz to attacks on Saudi and Emirati oil facilities, taking millions more barrels offline. Option 2. Accept the blockade as temporary and wait for international pressure to force Iranian concessions. But every day of waiting costs the global economy $15 billion. American voters watching gas prices double will not accept strategic patience, and Iran, watching the world economy buckle, has every incentive to maintain pressure. Option 3. Negotiate under duress and accept some version of Iranian demands. Politically impossible. The president who withdrew from Hormuz would own the worst energy crisis since 1973 and the perception of American retreat from a critical region. 2 hours ago, a U.S. destroyer fired in self-defense against approaching Iranian boats. 2 hours later, 21% of global oil supply is offline, energy prices are spiking toward recession-triggering levels, and 3 nuclear powers are maneuvering warships through a 33-kilometer strait with no rules of engagement and no de-escalation plan. Trump wanted to demonstrate resolve. Instead, he triggered the exact scenario every administration has feared for decades. Iran closing Hormuz not through military conquest but through strategic denial that hurts the global economy more than any military option can justify. The world economy is now a hostage. And Iran is demonstrating that in modern warfare, controlling a choke point is more powerful than controlling the seas.